Hey guys, Mr. Duck here and welcome back to another video. Today we won't be playing a game, instead we're going to talk a bit about a change about Roblox games that have just been made. And we're also going to talk a bit about my thoughts on this, and the majority of people also have to say about this change. So if we go ahead and check the Roblox Developer Relations Twitter account, we can see this new post that says the following. Hey devs, there's been a change to the experimental mode games. This change will determine who can play your experimental mode games. Stay ahead of these changes by reading more here. And then they have attached this link that we will go and look at a little bit more later. So what they're saying here is basically that they made changes to the experimental mode games on Roblox. And to explain shortly what experimental mode games are, is basically any games that do not have filtering enabled on. Okay, so filtering enable is basically the way your game works. So without it, your game works both server and client back and forth very simply. And with filtering enable on, things that replicate from the server to the client doesn't do the same the other way around. So this is basically to ensure that the exploiters may not replicate things onto other players to safely keep this game from being exploited, basically. And this is a good thing, obviously. The filtering enabled is a very good thing. And recently they took it a bit step further by making it so any account under the age of 13 can't access any of these games. And this is basically to keep younger audience safe from all the exploiters, which is also a great thing. However, today is the change that we're talking about that is even further into this previous change. So basically, if we go into this dev post, there's basically the link attached, we can read a bit more about this change. Right. Hey developers, a couple of weeks ago we made changes to how experimental mode games are displayed on Source in order to encourage developers to ensure their games are more secure. This week, as we mentioned at RDC, we're continuing to roll out changes to experimental mode games, focusing on making the platform safer to all members of the community. And they basically sum this up by saying that experimental modes can no longer be played by players over the age of 13 and only be played by friends of the game creators. And this change is basically to accomplish the goals that enhancing the safety of our community, putting an emphasis on the secure development earlier in the learning process of developing Roblox games, and reducing the risk of undesirable changes being made to your games without your permission. So it has good goals in mind, obviously, because this is for the safety of the Roblox players. And that's great. But the change also have a negative side of it, so basically that is the part that have sparked this bit of a negative response to the change. All games without filtering enables are basically now restricted from any player unless you're friends with the developer. This means that any of the old and classic Roblox games are basically restricted from everyone. So if we go into old games like Freeze Tag Original, Hide and Seek, Destroy the Wall, Red versus Blue versus Green versus Yellow Playing Words, all these old classic games are now restricted, and as you can see, sorry, your account is restricted from playing experimental games unless you're friends with the creator. So we can't play any of the classic games anymore, or any games without filtering enabled at that. And I think this change is obviously necessary for the safety of players, but there must be better ways to do this, obviously, because I mean, most devs will probably not go back to their old games to fix them up, because it takes quite a lot of work to fix filtering enabled to their games, and it honestly sucks to lose this big part of Roblox history, because now we can't play any of these classic games because they're restricted. So I know there will be a lot of conversation about this, and that's why I wanted to make this video, because I want to hear your opinion on the matter. So comment down below what you think about this change. Do you have any alternative ideas, and yeah, I think a lot of people are mad at the moment because some don't understand what filtering enabled is, and it is a good thing, but we lose so many great games. So maybe forcing filtering enabled onto old games would be better. I don't know, it would break the games, but I mean, then we could at least play them. So I don't know, it's a pretty tricky issue, and I mean, I gotta give credit to Roblox for actually trying to work more safety into their game, because now exploiters won't be able to make such a big impact on games anymore, but it also makes us lose all these great games, which is kind of sad. But anyways guys, that's basically it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. I was just trying to explain what this change means. If you did, leave a like down below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any of my future videos. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye!